Here.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Green.
Here.
Councilmember McConnell.
Here.
And Councilmember Smith.
Thank you so much. At this time, let us stand for our invocation, please.
Father, once again, we are reminded that any security we have as an individual and as a nation comes only from the abiding hope and trust we have in you. Once again, we are cut to the heart at the loss of life that we have suffered worldly. Father, today we come to you and ask your peace for the families and victims of this horrible coronavirus tragedy. For those of us who have lost loved ones, we ask for the safety of your hand. For those consumed by worry and fear as we try to reach missing and loved ones, we ask for the comforting presence of your Spirit. Place your Spirit in the emergency rooms with our first responders, their patients, and their families. Give our first responders the wisdom they need to perform their duties and beyond the levels of their training. In these we ask you in your name. Amen.
A pledge of allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. So at this time, we'll attend to our agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or substitutions to the agenda? And for those who are in the audience, feel free, if you don't have a copy, feel free to access a copy on the back table so that you can follow along with us in the agenda. But at this time, are there any additions, substitutions, or deletions? No. Hearing none. Seeing that there are no substitutions or deletions, motion for approval.
Mr. Mayor, so moved that we approve the agenda.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Has been properly moved and second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All same sign. It is carried. And of course, if you're following along, we also have what we call consent agenda items. All of those items that are annotated with an asterisk would be on our consent agenda. Currently, we have item 7A, that's bills and vouchers in the amount of $307,114.87 from our general fund. Item 7B, bills and vouchers in the amount of $157,363.25 from our utility fund, and bills and vouchers in the amount of $724.87 from our utility fund. Those are the items we currently have. Are there any additional items to be added or taken from the consent agenda? Okay. Hearing that there are no modifications, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. It is carried. We will continue on our agenda. Our next item, of course, is item 4. This is proclamations and presentations. In this item, we have item 4A, which is a public hearing, and of course, this is the discussion on the proposed increase of water and wastewater utilities fees for the 2020-2021 year. So we'll go to Ken first, and then we'll go over to Keith.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council, good evening, and good evening to our audience. This is an item that we talked extensively about during the budget process, and the reason this is coming back now is just to give the public proper notification. We will be holding a public hearing on Tuesday, December 1st, to discuss the rates that were discussed during the budget process. And that would be for the water and wastewater. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have on that. This just fulfills our obligation on this, to give public at least 1 month's notice.
Thank you so much. And just before we go to the public, is there any information, any questions or comments by council? And then we'll go to our attorney. Any questions or comments as it relates to this item? Okay, if not, Councilwoman Green.
I guess, Mr. Metcalf, the question that I asked in comparing the rates that will come up when we undo Tuesday, the December the 1st? Oh, okay.
Your question was, I'm sorry, Ms. Green.
I wanted the comparisons when I asked, oh, okay.
So, on the water side, you're gonna have a 1% increase to the base rate and to the consumption. And on the wastewater side, you're gonna have an increase from 5
May I ask, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, absolutely.
When I saw that, this is kind of personal and interesting to me, because I'm not a soothsayer predicting the attendance, but I anticipate the attendance is not going to be that good of something that this important and how it impacts. When I saw the increase, because this is new to me, and if the residents do not attend the meeting, how will they get this information?
It's gonna be on their November water bills. There's gonna be an advertisement that there's proposed utility rate increase and also a notification about the public hearing
There will be a notification where?
on the, utility bills.
So they will see that increase that shocked me. But what are they going to do? So they won't have an opportunity to even discuss it.
Yes, ma'am, that's what the public hearing is for.
Okay.
Okay. All right, any other council comments or questions? If not, Keith, you have?
Just to reiterate, if I understand the manager correctly, there will be another public hearing on your first December council meeting. And every resident will get notice of that on their next water bill before that meeting, so they have an opportunity to come to that public hearing and make comment, be heard. That would presumably be the hearing that the council would take action on the proposed increase. So, and state law requires that notice to be on the water bill to ensure that everybody gets it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
No, go right ahead.
And I'm going back to what the vice mayor said about people reading, and I don't want to insult anyone. This is very personal to me, especially with the virus and the increases and everything, and the financial stability of the whole world right now. And right now, the residents in the town are upset with us because they are accusing us of not informing them of certain things. And this, to me, is an issue. The first thing I asked Mr. Metcalf, when I saw I think it was the first time someone is late paying their water bill, and they pay it late, it's a $75 increase. That alone shocked me, because I knew it right here. And so things like that, and I know that's what's going to happen. They are not going to be informed, because our method of informing residents in this town, Mr. Metcalf, is not that great. And this is just my comment, is that I know this is going to come back and bite us in the butt when they really get around to the increases, because right now they are upset because they're saying that we don't inform them of certain things. So I just want to make that comment, and so I just want to make the comment, and that's it.
So Councilmember Green, the late fee is $30, and the disconnect or reconnect fee is $70.
No, I'm not, even though I question the rate. That's why I feel that one way or another, some way we need to find a better way of informing the residents right now, because of the situation, the thing that exists right now. And this is really, reminds me of, we don't want to have another Omari Hari up here. But, sorry, Mr. Mayor.
That's quite okay.
We're talking about water rates, and that's a big increase when someone don't pay their water bill, $75.
The feedback on that, we'll certainly do door-to-door notifications, like we usually do for.
That's my problem, sir. The daughter, they know, I did not want you to say that. And I'm just going to say one thing, and I won't take it any farther. That's my problem with the way we notify people in this community with the door-to-day and hanging it on the bags in their plastic bag. That's my gripe. So I won't say anything else.
We'll do door-to-door notifications on the website and also on the water bills. So if there's other methods that council would like to see issued, we'll certainly do our best to do that.
Okay. Righty, I think it's cogent to just sort of provide additional information. One of the things that we did, just so that we have the information for those who are in attendance or may request a copy, early part of the summer, you may remember we did workshops, right? And part of that workshop was rate studies to determine how we were going to pay for the increase in fee that was associated from Riviera Beach's pass-through that they've done, and we've tried to negotiate that. That's a different conversation. But we had a series. In fact, this was a year that we had more workshops than I can remember. And a lot of them pertain to the water rates because we all pay a water bill. And so no one wants to experience an increase in water or sewage. But the lion's share of the bills, as any resident will sort of testify, is our sewer. And the sewer because of the rates that Riviera Beach is charging us. So there was notifications each time that we have a meeting. I think we're the only town that actually posts out in the communities, meeting tonight at 6:30 or meeting at Tuesday at 6:30. So we go beyond what's required. What's really required by law is just a notification in the newspaper. We go beyond that in that we post things in all of those strategic locations, entry points and exit points in the neighborhood, so that they'll know come tomorrow night, there's a meeting. In addition to that, we put it on our website. Meetings such as this, unfortunately for tonight, we don't have the YouTube, but meetings are announced via the YouTube as well. So if there's other methods by which we notify, then we're certainly would entertain that, but I can't think of anything else in fact that we go above and beyond the requirements. But again, so it's not a surprise. We just hate that it had to happen. And keep in mind, everyone sitting up here makes that decision. So we're making a decision that, and I think just in short, the bulk of the conversation was that we had been supplementing every resident in town for years because Riviera Beach raised our fees up in one fell swoop, and we kept the fees the same for sewer. So basically, we were actually supplementing or augmenting the cost to residents, which you really can't do. So we had to kind of look at how do we get to the point, not of making money off of the sewer, but just making sure we cover the cost that Riviera Beach passes on to us just to pass our sewer through their lines. And so that was the reason for the increase. Then, of course, you have related maintenance costs and repair costs. And so the question would always be, where does the money come from? Unfortunately, there are no grants for the cost of producing water, so there's nothing out there. So how do you go about ensuring that you at least cover your cost? And so those were the conversations we had, I think probably 8, 9, 10 workshops. And there were a lot of them. I can't remember how many. So we did have workshops, and then we notified the community, the residents, we're having workshops, and provided opportunity for them to either attend in person, a limited number, of course. By way of YouTube, we always provide the opportunity for persons to hit the little raise your hand button, and then we have staff let us know that we have persons, we take those questions. So we've done a great job of notifying the residents of the increase. Unfortunately, I think what happened here was that the rates were supposed to go, or fortunately, were supposed to go into effect the new fiscal year, October 1st. There were notification issues that sort of fell by the wayside, so this is why it's back before us now. So that would be the only reason why we're actually discussing this tonight, so that we can make sure that we give the proper notification to our residents, so that we don't have the situation in another town that you referred to. So we always do right by our residents by giving proper notification. Okay? So with that, you have something additional?
This has nothing, I'd just like to ask the people in the audience first, maybe just me, can they understand what our mayor is saying? Okay, is there any way we can ask the audience who's listening, are they understanding you well?
Okay. Did everyone hear what I just stated? Okay, thanks.
No, I guess they're listening on YouTube?
No, my question was directly to the individual sitting. 'Cause
I know, I
think
said
also-
after I wanted to talk to them, I wanted to make sure that the audience.
No, we're still trying to get a signal.
Is there any way we
We
can
have a
find out if they understood the
Okay.
mayor?
All right, so we're online. Now, keep in mind, too, that
I still didn't get the.
that I'm speaking directly to the mic. We have persons here who said, yes, they can hear me. The audio that goes out in terms of the stream, keep in mind, too, that we went through a lot of process as it relates to upgrading the system just recently, spent a lot of money.
Well, Mr.
And
Mayor,
so persons online, if they can't hear us, they'll let us know. Please let us know if you can't hear. Let us know, and we'll repeat anything, because we want to make sure that we have total transparency and that we get all of the information to those individuals. Okay? So let us know if you have anything, if you haven't fully understood. Okay, great. Okay, so just let us know if indeed you can't hear, then we'll repeat it. Okay. All righty, so is there anything else as it relates to this item?
I asked the question, and I didn't get the answer. Do they hear?
Okay.
I didn't
Yes,
hear.
an attendee just said that they can.
That's all I want to hear. Okay.
Okay. All righty. Okay, any other questions or comments or information needs to be shared on this item?
Just to say, Mr. Mayor, we appreciate the comments about notification. We're gonna do our best
Mhm.
to make sure it's out there
Oh, certainly.
in mass.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. Again, that's why we have this sort of 2-month reprieve, because it didn't happen and now it's happening. Okay,
Correct.
okay, thanks. Ready? Anything else? Any other council comments or questions? Okay, any comments from the public? This is a public hearing. As it relates to this item? Okay. Do we have any comments on law? Okay. Yes, if you just state your name and address for the record, please. Okay. Oh, it's good, okay.
I'm pretty loud on Cuban, so I can definitely.
Okay. Okay.
My name is Juan Pino. I live on 1605 East Place. My grandmother's been living in this town for over 22 years. Passed away for 24 years. I really love this town. And really embrace everything that we've been able to receive from the town here. And I think that over the past few years of living in that house without her, I've learned a lot on my own. And I want to say that as far as like the notifications, I've noticed a lot of notifications from plastic and all that stuff on the back of the bill. And I think that we're doing fine with that. It's something that the people have to take notice. It's not, I don't think it's no longer on them. I think it's on us. If we don't see things, we don't hear anything, we have to take initiative to call. That's why we have phones. They have a line. Talk to them. If I don't know anything, you could ask him, he'll tell you, I call him all the time. All the time. And they're very informative, very helpful. So I think personally, the town has done just fine. Especially with the work that they've been putting in, going forward with the issue that we have here with COVID, which I've been impacted myself. Brother had it. My brother-in-law had it, actually still has it, which he hasn't been able to see his kid in the last 2 weeks. I can't go see my nieces and nephews. So I understand there's an issue, and I know that they're putting a lot of work. But we, as people that live in this community, have to be more as well. We can't just put the load on them. We have to take up and take ownership of that. It's just like with the voting and all that stuff, that's on us. We're citizens. We live here and we have to put forth effort. So I just want to put in my 2 cents that I think that the town has done a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Especially me personally. And I do appreciate each and every one of you for coming out and giving us updates and town hall meetings, because this is another way to be informed. And I hope that in the near future, I'm able to do a little more and helping out with being able to do a little more with the town. So I just want to let you guys know that I appreciate you and God bless you guys.
Thank you. And we certainly appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank
We
you very
appreciate
much.
it. Okay. Ready? Any other comment from the public as it relates to this item? Okay. Okay. And of course, we know you, but just state your name and address for the record.
The problem I have about the water bill is, I know that I have a problem with just in general, other folks. They get a water bill and they don't read it, all the things they looking at, remember how much they owe, and go pay it. I mean, they don't take the initiative to read the whole thing. So, how do you go about doing that? How you guys go about solving, if they don't read the whole thing, all the little fine print?
Okay. Right. Okay, response, and I'll yield to anyone here, but my very quick response would be, I think Mr. Pena, I think his response was apropos. in terms of just requirements, what a municipality is required in terms of notification, again, we exceed that. It's unfortunate, I guess the difficulty in sort of responding to it is that you don't want to seem insensitive in that all you can do is provide the information, and as he stated, then it's up to the resident to read through it. And if they have some difficulty or don't fully understand, like you said, the small print, so to speak, give a call to Town Hall, they'll explain everything. Catch a council person, elected official by the coattail will explain it, right? But other than that, the one thing you can't do, and this is not insensitive, is going to someone's home, right, and force them to read it. Oh, no, I understand.
I ain't saying go to nobody's house, I'm just saying they can't understand what you know, all the little
All of
fine
it.
print on there,
Call Town Hall and,
so they just call town.
yes.
I'm not saying me, I'm just saying other folks.
Oh, certainly, I understand. Yeah, but certainly, they could just call Town Hall. And we do post the town, the number on the bill as well. Yeah, so they just give a call, and we'll be more than happy to explain. Absolutely, yes.
Mr. Mayor?
On that non-emergency number, I called that number here. No one answered, no one called me back, no one told me about the water main break that y'all have, nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
All, nowhere.
Okay, so the 848-1235 number
That number
is,
just rung, and then the recording came on, nobody called me back.
and this was after hours when this,
It's after hours, yeah.
okay,
The water main broke down here on the hill.
okay. All righty.
House during COVID also, we did monitor the phone very closely, and,
No one met, no one called me back.
we
I left
did
my
monitor
name.
the phone very closely and attempted to call them back. If we had a few that fell through the crack, we apologize, but we make every effort to call people back. I can speak personally, if I get a phone call, we're gonna get a call back, and I know staff is good about it. We apologize if we did not get back to you. And the water main break happened during COVID. We responded as soon as we got notification on it. And I think it was fixed in a relatively short amount of time.
Right, and just before I get to Councilman Green, and again, we do apologize. We can say from a council perspective, we tethered the town manager, particularly on the onset of the COVID crisis, pandemic. We tethered his phone to the Ring camera we had out. The Ring camera hasn't been operable for about a month or so if something fell in between, but that time, we apologize. We're going to try and get that corrected. But as he stated, everything was sort of tethered to him, so the phone rang all the time. In fact, we transferred the lines here to his phone so that we could be responsive. So, but we do apologize for that period of time, and we'll correct it. Okay? Ready? Councilwoman Green?
Yes, the gentleman right here referred to town hall meetings that he had attended where he was informed. I've been here since March. What town hall meetings have you been attending?
I've never been to any town hall. This is the first time I came.
Oh, I thought you mentioned a town hall meeting.
Oh, no, this is a town hall meeting, isn't it?
No, you were talking about how you have been receiving good information.
Oh, well, all our information is pretty relatively visible, like the town hall meeting, there's signs everywhere out there.
Oh, you call the signs out there a town hall meeting?
I see the signs all the time. Like, I drive by your house every
No. You mentioned, no, sir, I'm not being confrontational. I wasn't debating. You mentioned town hall meetings. That was all. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you.
Oh, no, that's fine.
No. So there are no town hall meetings. This is a council meeting.
I'm sorry. I missed.
Okay.
Oh, okay, and I wanted to ask the,
I've always understood it as a town hall, but
Matter vernacular, one in the same.
no, but I just wanted to correct him, that was all.
Okay.
That was correcting him. And the other thing is, whenever we talk about information for the town, Mr. Metcalf, you always bring up the webpage. How will they receive information about the water bill or anything that's relevant to residents from the webpage? What's on the webpage that's related to the water bill?
We'll put a tab on there that says utility rate increase, and they can click on that tab, and it'll bring up a list of proposed rates, and do a comparison, current rate, proposed rate.
Mr. Metcalf, when you gave me, you tell me all the time that I read everything. And when you gave me my agenda, and I go over my agenda before I even have an agenda review with you, and I have to meet with you personally to discuss the water bill rates. that was when I met with you today. That's the only thing I really was concerned with. And before I even called you, I called Trodrick from the city of Riviera Beach and asked him what were their rates so I could compare ours. And I'm not being insulting or disrespectful, but I just want to make because I wasn't going to say anything else. And I will continue to voice my concern about the way we disseminate information to our residents. And I will say again, and Mr. Mayor, no respect, and he knows that's one of the mayor knows that's one of my pet peeves, is the web page. And you keep referring to it. And that web page is not, I would not say, is informative when it comes to the residents of this community. So, and I will continue to say that as long as you bring it up.
Okay. All righty. Well, certainly. So noted. But
you,
again,
Mr.
as it relates to the webpage, go out there and just kind of scroll through, and you'll see the pages from everything from elected officials to meetings that have been posted, relevant information. Okay. All righty. So with that, we're going to move if there's nothing else on this item. Okay. Ready? Any other questions? Any other questions or comments? Okay. If not, then what we'll do is we'll advance this to the regular meeting for action. Okay. Ready? Thanks so much. Yes. Yes, the floor is closed to public comment. So what we're going to do is we'll move on it. This, of course, is a discussion at this point. This is information that was brought to us, so there's not an action item needed. What we're basically doing, again, is just cleaning up the action that was taken already when we voted for the increase. Of course, the notification, again, didn't go out, so this is just to get proper notice that the notices will be going out. And then effective November 1st, the new rates will take effect. Okay, so just information. Okay. Ready? Any other questions? Well, thanks so much. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to our next item, Palm Beach County League of Cities. Keith?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to remind the council, tomorrow at noon is actually the general membership meeting. It is a conference call again, as it has been most of this year. The dial-in credentials are available on the league's website. The speaker tomorrow actually is Dr. Alonso, and the topic, not surprisingly, is COVID-19, where we've been and where we're going. So, nevertheless, that may be an interesting presentation. So if you can call in, as I said, the dial-in information will be on the website. It is a conference call. It's not an in-person meeting. And that's the league report.
Okay. Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments for Keith as it relates to the league? Okay, hearing none. Okay, we'll move on to our next item. The next item is item 6, and this, of course, is our ordinances and resolutions. On our agenda, we have ordinance 6. We have item 6A. And this is ordinance 2020-08. Of course, this is the first reading, amending the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 8, Code Enforcement. Keith?
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance 2020-08, ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Mangonia Park, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 8, Code Enforcement by amending this chapter to update language regarding code enforcement special magistrate in conformance with state law, to clarify jurisdiction of the special magistrate, and provide for internal consistency with the town code, providing that each and every other section and subsection of Chapter 8 shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify effective date, and for other purposes. As you said, this is first reading. This is, in large respect, housekeeping in nature. Our code enforcement chapter had not been updated in quite a while. There have been some subtle changes to state law. For example, our code still referred to a special master, special magistrate. So some of the notice provisions in state law had changed a little bit, especially in terms of posting notice and publication in the paper. So we've updated our ordinance to be in conformance with the current state of Chapter 162 in the statutes. Just provided internal consistency and did some general cleanup. We've left all the reference to the Code Enforcement Board in the ordinance, even though we don't use it. State law still references a Code Enforcement Board. So there, it's an alternative best practices these days is a special magistrate as opposed to a board, and that is the practice that we use. So this ordinance, as I said, really is housekeeping in nature. It conforms to the town's current practices and updates the language and a few substantive updates, as I said, most notably in the notice section.
Thank you so much. You've heard it read by title. Are there any comments or questions as it relates to the proposed ordinance from council? Any council comments or questions? Okay, Vice Mayor?
Yes, just wanted to find out, I am concerned about making sure the amendments are plain and clarity, so the prosecutor's running for a workshop on code enforcement. Can you hear me? A workshop for code enforcement, is that a possible, option you could lead to?
At the council's direction, of course it's possible.
Okay. Other questions or comments as it relates to the proposed
Mr.
ordinance? Councilman Green?
May I, the attorney, ask you a question, and this is for the health and welfare of everyone here. Is there, Mr. Metcalf, would it be negative or a bad thing that, for example, when the mayor is talking, that he just moved his down and then speak and then put it back? Would we be contaminating or disregarding the safe distancing if we just, like you, when you were speaking then, you just moved your mask and then you put it back?
Yeah, because I mean, I have difficulty verbalizing and breathing, so I'm trying not to pass out.
Well, you were articulate and
and I will put it
understandable
back,
when you
but-
did that. And
I
so
mean,
was,
Okay.
to me, I'm comfortable with these, with the plexiglass shields, but,
that's not my question, not answering my question. I'm asking, is there anything wrong, and this for anyone else in here, is there anything wrong or anybody uncomfortable is when you're speaking? It doesn't hurt my feeling if you, when you're talking, just move it down and then when you finish speaking, just put it back. That's all I'm asking,
Well,
yes or no. It
is there
doesn't
anything
matter.
wrong, and is anyone uncomfortable, or probably could be two very different things. I mean, the social distancing
Okay,
mask is a guideline, it's not a
okay, you
a
answered my
law,
question, we
so-
can keep going.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty. And keep in mind that mask wearing in public buildings, basically in terms of the governor's order, is mandatory. A person removing it is a personal decision. So it's not a thing for an attorney or a town manager, anyone to address. It's a personal decision. And for me, I work with persons, I work in COVID environments, I'm going to wear a mask. Okay, so it's not an offense on the front to anybody. So that's why I asked, can you hear me? And if not, then I'll move right into the mic. All righty, because I believe in staying healthy in order to make sure that your loved ones are healthy in facilities. Okay? All righty, so with that, we'll move on if there's no other questions as it relates to the ordinance, the proposed ordinance. Okay, Councilman Smith?
Good evening. Since Vice Mayor, you brought up clarity and workshop, what about Jefferson Women and Dangerous workshop? We're anticipated by the attorney, we're doing some house cleaning on the ordinance for code enforcement. So what are those objectives we do decide to have a workshop? They also want to inform our residents of our ordinance change of the house cleaning. But what about Jefferson? This workshop if we move forward.
As you stated, yes, just as you stated.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Ready? Other questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none. Thanks so much. And again, you've heard it read by title. We've had full discussion as it relates to the proposed ordinance 2020-08. And of course, this is first reading. What is your pleasure as it relates to the proposed ordinance?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the first reading, ordinance 20208, amending the code.
Okay, motion has been made to approve the proposed ordinance upon first reading, and that's of course at chapter 8 of the Code Enforcement. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any additional questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilmember McConnell,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith. Vice Mayor Johnson, and Mayor O'Reilly.
Yes.
It passes unanimously in first reading.
Thank you so much. We'll continue on our agenda. Our next item is item 7B. This is resolution number 2020-10, approving final site plan SR application number SR 2019-03. And of course, this is EMMP Investment Group at LLC, of course, a vacant lot. If the applicant is present, we'll just have you come forward and just come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Then we'll have you. But before you do, there's some things that the attorney do, and then we'll get right to you. Okay?
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, this agenda item, the next agenda item, so that's 6B and C, are both quasi-judicial. If I could take a moment and go ahead and swear in everyone who's going to be speaking on both of those items at this time. I can do that now. If you're going to be speaking to the council on either the current agenda item, which is 6B, or the next agenda item, which is 6C, these are both final site plan applications. Those are quasi-judicial proceedings. I'll need to swear you in before you testify. If you can please raise your right hands. Do each of you swear or affirm under penalties of perjury that your testimony to the town council will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. And then I just need to come back to council. If any of you have had any ex parte discussions regarding either of these applications, the discussion, who you had it with, general parameters of what the discussion was needs to be disclosed for the record at this time.
Okay. Ready, Councilman Smith? No? Okay, Vice Mayor? Okay, Councilman McConnell?
No.
Okay, Councilwoman Green? Okay, any ex parte communication with the proposed applicant, with the applicants? Okay, and none for me as
So
well.
we can proceed, Mayor. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much. Okay, and if you would just state your name and address for the record, and then we'll begin.
My name is Michael Sanchez. My address is 3710 Buckeye Street in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, Suite 100.
All right, thank you so much. You could proceed with your presentation.
Mr. Mayor and Council, it's a pleasure to be here with you tonight again. This is a final site plan application for the East Tiffany Drive Flex Office Warehouse project. This project has been before the council a couple of times. There have been no material changes since the last hearing. I'll recap the history of the project, provide an overview of the project design for those who may have not been here at the previous hearings, and address the progress made since the last hearing. My presentation will be relatively brief. This is an aerial that shows the property. It's 1.12 acres. It's right across the street from Town Hall here. So to the west, we have the Central Park Lake. To the north, we have the apartments. To the east is the Town Hall that we're in tonight. And then to the south is a couple of office buildings. So just as it relates to some history, in November of last year, we came before the council for a special exception application and for this project, which was to approve a list of permitted uses, which I have, and I can go over those if there's any questions. But basically, those uses, which we went through in great detail, comprised what they call expanded commercial and light industrial uses. And so those were approved by the town council. In December of last year, we went to the Board of Adjustments for a variance for a very small encroachment into the rear, a very small little triangle there of only 5 feet. That was also approved. And in May of this year, we received preliminary site plan approval from the town council for this project, which the design remains largely unchanged, which included the following conditions, all of which have been implemented into the final site plan application. I'll go through them quickly. The council approved 9-foot by 18-foot parking spaces. The council approved a 6-foot wall along the north property line in lieu of a 10-foot wall, which will probably be unsightly and too tall. The council allowed us to have 24-inch hedges along the front and along the back, and that was to allow, it's a very nice looking building, as you can see, with a lot of foundation landscaping, so we wanted to allow visibility into the building. And then along the lake side, we requested to go down to 24 inches so that people could enjoy the views of the lake from these outdoor recreation areas, which I will touch on. The council asked us to address the seawall, which I'll talk about also a little farther in the presentation. The council requested that we limit the number of bays that could be occupied by a single tenant to 3, which we have put all these conditions on the site plan so that it can be recorded in the record upon hopefully an approval. And the council asked us to show the square footages of each one of the tenant bays on the site plan, which we've done. So just a quick overview of the project. It's a single-story building. This is what we call flex office and warehouse, which you see all over Palm Beach County and other areas where you have basically a storefront, an office, or a little showroom in the front, and then you have warehouse space in the back with the overhead doors on the rear, and I'll show you the architectural elevations on one of the other boards. We place the building up against the street, so here's East Tiffany Drive. You have the lake here, so we're over here in Town Hall. So the building is doors facing the street, so it addresses the street. And then in the rear, you have the overhead doors and the warehouse space. We have 29 parking spaces, which meets the code requirements. We provided a wider drive aisle in the rear so that if someone needs to access those with a little truck or something, they can get in there and do that. Again, we have a 6-foot wall along the north side. We've provided what they call active recreation uses, which are effectively outdoor sitting areas. So we were required to provide about 1,900 square feet. We've provided 2,300 square feet. And that is taken up by a little sitting area on the north side here with some picnic tables and then 2 picnic tables along the back with a little sidewalk that connects them so that people can enjoy the lake views. We have a small retention area on the north side of the project and a single dumpster. We recently received approval from the Central Park Lot Owners Association, and that took a little while because they weren't meeting due to the virus. So that's kind of what delayed us coming back before this board, but we do have approval from them as of last month. With respect to the landscape plan, which you see here, we're using primarily a native landscape palette. We are required to have about 9,700 square feet of open space, and we have more than double that. We have 19,000 and change. We have oak trees along the front, along the north side, and along the back as well. We have substantial foundation landscaping up against the front of the building, which you'll see on the renderings, and the rest of the trees, again, and shrubs are primarily native in nature. It's common to what you see in other areas. As it relates to the architecture of the building, my apologies to the public that have my back to them. It's a very nice design for this flex office warehouse type. A lot of times you see these kind of as plain looking buildings. We've provided a lot of architectural detail. So again, this is the front elevation facing the road. You can see they're just storefronts. We have a lot of articulation along the roof line. The building actually steps as you go, and you'll see it on the rendering. It kind of steps back as you go north, so that provides some architectural interest. It's not just a big flat wall. We've raised the parapets here to ensure that the mechanical equipment on the roof is screened, and that vertical articulation is carried through on all of the elevations. So this is the rear elevation, and comment from one of the previous meetings was that we provide some additional articulation along the roof on the back, some additional architectural detail, which you see here, banding, differences in colors. So we think it's going to be a very nice building architecturally. And then here are some renderings. The same you've seen before from the entrance. So this is from East Tiffany Drive. As you can see, the very nice looking building with storefronts and the foundation landscaping. This is the rear, so you can see it's not just a plain back. There's some architectural detail there. This is a blow of one of the storefronts, so it looks like an office or a retail storefront. And then this is an overhead view, so you can see kind of the building overlaid on the site, and you can see the mechanical equipment are tucked up against these parapets, so you won't be able to see them from the street. With regard to the civil design, I won't get to that in much detail, but since it's part of the final site plan, our utility or civil construction plan, so we have drainage catch basins here in the back parking lot. They will collect the water from the retention area. They will treat the water in these, what they call exfiltration trenches, which are underneath the pavement. And then once the water is treated, it will outfall into the lake, which was the way some for the Water Management District approved it and requested. As far as utilities go, we have a connection to the water main, which is here close to the town hall property. And the sewer service will just be here in the road to an existing sewer line. These shaded areas, we will be doing some reconstruction of the street, and we'll make sure that we do maintenance of traffic and everything so that the traffic can continue to flow through basically some pavement restoration there. And then lastly, I wanted to touch on the seawall. So the seawall, this obviously borders the lake, and the seawall from the very beginning, the town indicated to us that we needed to repair the seawall, and it's in disrepair as it is in other areas of the lake. So we had extensive discussions with the town and with South Florida Water Management District, and the final design, which has been reviewed by South Florida Water Management District. They provide us a letter saying that we don't need a separate permit for it. It's considered an exemption because it's maintenance of the wall, but the town asked that we had provided email to the town, and they requested that we get a formal determination, which we have, and we provided that to the town. So we will be leaving the existing wall, what's left of it, in place, but we will be adding in the shaded area. So this is the lake here, this is the property. We will be adding what they call riprap, or a rock revetment. And basically what that means is, I'll show you on the cross section here. What that means is those large rocks that you see sometimes in canals and things that, so if this is a cross section, and this is our property up here, and this is the lake, there's large rocks that are placed here to support the wall. I think there's a vinyl liner that goes between the rocks and the wall, and then they slope down so that they're there forever, and it helps with, it doesn't impact the drainage of the lake because the holes between the rocks, and it's a permanent solution, and this has been signed off by the town engineer. Yes.
I was enjoying you until you got to the wall.
Okay.
And we've all the council up here, we all been discussing that wall for years. So you're saying that you're not going to do anything with the wall, or you are going to do something?
Well, what's there is a sort of a metal wall. So the design that's been approved is that structure that's partly there, some of it's been deteriorated, will remain, but we will build up to the top of that wall, so you'll no longer see that wall with this rock revetment.
Oh, I think that's complimentary, because I've always wanted something to happen to improve that wall, because it's a beautiful wall. The lake is a beautiful lake. And I'm very proud of what the association has done to the lake since they've upgraded over there. So anytime a business comes through, congratulations. That's why I thought you were going to do something to improve it.
Well, this is an improvement, this is in place.
Yeah, that's why I said congratulations.
Oh, thank you, okay. I appreciate it.
The council should be by the end of the year.
Great.
That concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer.
Oh, thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. Just before we take council comments, our planner is here. So Nilsa, if you have.
Nilsa Zacharias, planner of the town of.
So
I just want to say that year that we are working, the special exception use hearing was November 5th.